it was a thrilling game, wasn't it, for Luton? And Bournemouth were actually battering them for the first half. They really pushed and they deserved their lead through a Tavernier goal, really good Tavernier goal. But Luton, they fought back superbly in the second half. And this win after a 10-game winless run is exactly what they needed. Do you kind of think in some ways Luton are enjoying this relegation fight when all those around them seem to be kind of struggling with it, really?
Clearly, yeah. I think there's a real unity about this squad. I think that's one thing. I mean, you look at the injuries that they've suffered, particularly over the last month or so. The players that have come in and have really contributed, and you look at the manner of the way they've actually turned around some of these games. I mean, even some of the games where they've not quite managed to complete the turnaround, like the Chelsea game where they came back from 3-0 down and gave it a real go. I think what they've shown throughout the season is that they're more than willing to throw everything, caution to the wind, and it's been a breath of fresh air. I think the way that they've actually evolved throughout the season, even after obviously this long streak without a win.
Yeah.
And to be honest, in a ways, it hasn't felt like it had been that long without a result for them, because they've performed well in some of those games, which they've not managed to get points. So you've really got to give it to them, and I think particularly in this game, it was great to see Morris get on the score sheet and obviously score the winner, because he's had a real tough time with injuries throughout this season as well. A couple of those players, I think. Do you know what's going to be really tough actually come the end of the season? To pick a player of the year for them, because there's so many standout players in that squad. Obviously, Mangia had a brilliant performance in this game. We talked about Ross Barkley and how he's transformed that team, and he is the man that kind of makes them tick. Alfie Doughty, and obviously Morris as well. There's been so many standout performers in that squad. It's been a great season for them so far, and they really do seem to be enjoying it.
Well, you say great season so far, but I mean, they're still very much in the relegation picture, aren't they? Obviously, with the result tonight, Forest likely losing to Tottenham is going to keep it really wide open. I think they're level on points, and just goal difference separates them as things stand. So, yeah, it's a real fight to the end, isn't it? But as you say, the way Luton have been playing is with a positivity that almost does kind of trick you into thinking they have been picking up points when they haven't. So I think that's the thing that makes me realise that Luton are a team that aren't to be doubted, because they can pull out performances against literally anybody. And I think, they've got Man City next, but after that, it seems like a pretty good run-in for them, from what I remember. I don't doubt they'll give Man City a game as well. And as you say, there's a few players there that are playing brilliantly at the minute. And I thought Kaminsky actually had a great game again. He's been keeping them in games too. And I think he was the key to them really staying in the game against Bournemouth this weekend. And so many players standing up and being counted. I think the only obstacle to them really is fatigue. Like Ross Barkley looked quite tired, I think, in this game at stages, and there's a few mistakes creeping in, especially in the first half. But of all of the relegation candidates, they're probably the neutrals' favourite. I don't know if that's because they're not being docked any points or anything like that, whereas there's so much doubt over the rest of the teams. But just by the sheer force of the way they play and the way they want to win and this fighting spirit they've got, you've got to root for them in some ways, haven't you?
I think the pressure's been off them this season, though. I don't think the expectations have been too high, particularly, the team that there are. They're not. I think it's easy to say they're not one of the bigger clubs coming out of the Championship into the Premier League who know the Premier League. It's very much very new experience for them, But I think they'll feel like it's fully in their hands in a way, because I think 3 of the last games, and 2 of them massive games, one against Everton and one against Brentford, 2 huge games for them after the Man City game. They'll feel like they can get result from in those games when they're being at home. The atmosphere it should really push them, and we've seen them pick big results up at home this season, and I feel like they'll feel like they'll be able to do the same again.
It's strange how they came out so differently in the second half, and I think a lot of that has to be credited to Rob Edwards and just the way he does get his team working together again. I think it's just a reset to go in at half time and no changes be made, and then come out and change the way they attack and approach this game. I think that's a really positive sign of a coach that knows his team really well, knows what he's doing. And out of those coaches fighting for relegation, I think he's probably the one that seems to be more in tune with what his team needs out of anyone. And his in-game team management as well has been really good too. So it isn't just about the players on the pitch, is it? The coach as well is having a good season too.
Yeah, he certainly knows how to make them tick. He knows how to get response from them. What's evident is, not just at halftime team talks. It's on the pitch when they go behind, they respond.
Yeah.
It seems like his way of managing that team is definitely effective, and it's more than effective. I think he's definitely going to be up there with probably coach of the year if Luton stay up. He's done such a great job there. And it's going to be a fascinating end, isn't it? It's so tight at the bottom, and before you know it, I looked, a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, Brentford had, been dragged into it.
Yeah,
it could go all the way to the wire, where there's potentially 3 teams got a possibility of staying up. In the last couple of games of the season. Let's hope it is that way. To all of our Luton watchers, hopefully you do stay up, and it's going to be one of the stories of the season, that's for sure, if they do.